Hi. How are you? Hey, happy Tuesday. Feeling like a Monday for some of us, huh? I am Sybil Wilkes. Welcome to What You Need to Know. And we are here every Monday through Thursday at this time, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 4 o'clock Pacific time. And today is a special day, not only because of my co host, who is the ever wonderful John Murray, but also because tonight we have an extended edition of What You Need to Know. It'll be post debate. And post debate meaning as soon as that sucker's over, everybody, all of my friends gather around the post debate table and we chat about what we just saw. So I hope you'll join us here on YouTube and Facebook Live. The debate is scheduled to start at 8. It is scheduled for 90 minutes, meaning that 8 o'clock to 9:30 Central Time, 9 to 10:30 on the East Coast. And then, of course, on the West Coast, it will be what 6 to 7:30. So I hope that you all will join us and join in. And we have John will be back with us. We'll also have Myra J. and Stephen Hill, George Wallace, Guy Torrey, and we had such a great time with her yesterday, and she agreed to come on with us, the president of the National Bar Association, C.K. Hoffler. So really excited about this roundtable. And of course, with all of the comedians, but they are also very smart. And John Murray, I got to tell you, is probably the smartest entertainer and pop culture expert that I've ever known. And so politically savvy. And so I welcome his addition to this table as well. And so that will be tonight. And so we'll be watching, and hopefully you all you'll be watching along with us, and then we'll come together and talk about what we saw. So as we are waiting for John, he had a little bit of a technical snafu, but he's going to be here. But while we're waiting for him, um, I'd like to hear from some of you all and tell us what you would like to hear tonight, or what you think you will hear. Will it be the same old from Donald Trump, who a lot of people believe, he has a way of obfuscate, being drawing attention away from his flaws, and Lord knows there's been a lot of attention to the taxes, and will he come correct with that in telling us about it? Will he also talk about his Supreme Court nominee and how they are really just trying to put together a court, which is, for all intents and purposes, going to be a just a wash as far as liberal causes are concerned, with a 6-3 conservative lean there. And of course, Obamacare is one of those things that's going to be brought before the Supreme Court pretty quickly. Um, just there's just so many things as a part of this administration, and let us not get away from the one thing that is the worst of all. Um, and I'm talking the worst in terms of overall health of our country, and that is the way he handled the coronavirus. With over 205,000 people, and more than that, as I said, over 205,000 people who have died in this country. And he knew how deadly this was. He knew it. January 28th, he told Bob Woodward, the journalist, that this was a deadly situation. And he did not tell us. He played it down. He downplayed it. He did not upplay it. He downplayed it. And so that is something that's going to be a concern. Are you concerned about the performance of Joe Biden tonight? A lot of people, and Donald Trump has led the charge. Sleepy Joe, low energy Joe, even to the point, as we talked about in the newsletter, to the point where he's trying to throw things out and keep the attention off of him. His people asked for drug testing before the event tonight, which will be held in Cleveland, by the way, and as well as making sure that no earpieces are used, because he thinks that somebody is going to be in Joe Biden's ear giving him information as they're trying to fact check. So let's see. Nikio on YouTube, what is the drinking word? Oh my gosh, yes. What is that? Fake news, maybe? I have a feeling that that's going to be something that he's going to throw out there a lot. Shanta wants to hear about his finances and more about Biden's action plan and challenging Trump on everything. And I have a lot of, oh, hey, hello, my friend.
Sybil, I'm not on
You
CP
know what?
time.
I've just been sitting here talking and I haven't put my earbuds in. Hang on one second. I don't even know if I'm assuming y'all can hear me. Um, we're talking, John, about what people's expectations are for tonight. What would you like to hear? How do you think it's going to go? The performance of Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. I was going to say that I have a lot of faith in Chris Wallace. I think that he is a fair and unbiased newsman. And so I'm looking forward to his moderation of this. But it's also going to be very interesting. Are you talking, John?
Oh no, I was looking.
Oh, okay,
I was doing
okay.
that hello Kitty. My bad.
I think that it's going to be interesting because Donald Trump feeds off of the audience, as you know, with his, that's why he was so dry in all of those press conferences. But once he was able to get back out to the rallies, he really feeds off of that. This room is going to be a very small crowd because of social distancing. Somewhere between 70 and 100 people, maybe if that. And so,
Which is a deterrent from the 900 that they would, a decrease from the 900 they would usually have. And
yeah,
listen, one of the things I really respect about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and how they've been conducting themselves on the campaign trail is they've been making sure to follow all the safety protocols during
yeah,
the pandemic. They are not moving with ego; they're moving with the protection and the
hmm
caution of the will of the people. And I think that's important because we know that Donald Trump, who has known how serious this virus is, who talked about the fact that this thing is airborne and all the ways that you can
yeah,
get it. And we've seen what happens when people like Herman Cain show up at his
exactly.
rallies where there are no masks and how you can contract coronavirus, and yet they're still having these rallies. And
Still
so,
having them,
yeah, so
and
I'm glad they're going to have a socially distanced gathering tonight. And here's the thing. I think Joe Biden is going to show people what it looks like to be presidential. I think he's
hmm
going to conduct himself in the manner in which that we expect him to do. And even though I hope that for the most part he can take the high road, that he
hmm
doesn't get down in the gutter with Donald Trump, because the reason that Donald Trump dwells in the gutter is because there's really no substance there.
right.
If Donald Trump does get too far the line, it wouldn't be. I would maybe enjoy if Joe Biden was like, "You say that malarkey again, I'm going to knock you the hell out." One of those moments,
John, your WWE fan world is coming out.
Joe Biden, because Joe Biden loves that word, malarkey.
Malarkey, yeah, it's a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be mad if he decided to clothesline Trump once or twice, because here's the thing: we want someone who's strong,
Yeah.
You can't just talk law and order without knocking your oppressor out every day.
Well,
So
let me just say this. We had a president who could do that. He could show strength without being all bombastic and and all of that kind of thing. So and I think Joe Biden will be able to show strength, and he will also be able to show compassion, which has been lacking in this administration as well.
can I
Joe
just
Biden.
say I like the vote, the vote that we
Oh, thank
got us.
you. Yeah,
The
yeah.
decorations are good in here, Sybil.
I got a great group of people. I have
You
such a.
and your team, the big buddy, I see. This
Wouldn't
thing
that be nice?
This thing has evolved since the beginning of the pandemic, if I must say so myself.
We have evolved, John. Yes, yes. But we are looking at something tonight that is going to be something we have not seen before. You remember the last primary debate was just with Biden and with Bernie, right?
Oh,
And
remember
so,
Bernie? Oh yeah.
yeah, remember Bernie? And so that was where they were separated, and there wasn't that same energy. And I'm just wondering how this will play out tonight
Well,
because, as you
listen, I mean,
said,
the reality is that they are two old white men. We do have to factor that in.
and we're getting close to their bedtimes. Yeah.
It's way past their bedtimes, 9 o'clock, Sybil.
Yeah,
So,
because then Donald Trump is up at 3 o'clock tweeting. So
well, he wakes up that early in the morning. That indigestion from all that McDonald's that causes heartburn. So No, but like I really hope that this debate really does offer more substance than it does insanity. I mean, the hardest workers tonight are going to be the cable news hosts that are going to be fact checking in real time, which means that every time Donald Trump speaks, somebody's thumbs are going to be going crazy. Yeah, so it's going to be must see TV. But let's get this thing over with already. Can we just vote? Can we just get him out?
And see, that's the thing, John. I thought every time, in looking back at 2016, I thought that every debate that Hillary Clinton had with Donald Trump, Hillary came out the winner. And if the election had been held that next day, after debate number one, after debate number two, or that Hillary would have won.
But you know what I really wanted her to do in one of those debates, Sybil? You know, she was, and I watched, if anybody has not seen her documentary on Hulu, I really urge you to do so. You really get a glimpse and a look into her, and you understand her in ways that you just may not. The misperception that so many people have of her has really been changed by watching this documentary. She was so poised and so dignified because she was running a traditional campaign against a circus attraction. And I just wanted her in one of those debates when they said, but your emails, I wanted her to grab herself by the nuts and be like, but I didn't get hacked. You know, she had to do something to show that she had to let all that persona off. Like, I wanted her to show I'm not this robot. I'm not this political statue that they wound up in the back and rolled out here for this. I just needed more from her. And I think her inability to just go off, like when he was like, you know,
when he was lurking behind, I just wanted her to just throw her arm back and say, sit down.
Get the hell away from me, clown. You just needed something to show that Hillary was human. You know?
More than a bottle of hot sauce in her purse. But John,
or she also squirted a little bit on him, you know.
But you know what? I also wanted them to do and I know this is all past and everything, but just thinking about Hillary and the changes that could have been made in that campaign. If Hillary's people had really studied the primary and the way that the others, because all of those other candidates, the 16 others who were in the primary against Donald Trump, they all fell by the wayside because they were practicing the same thing that Hillary practiced. And that was, they were all great politicians and had been in the business, with the exception of the business women. And
the mentally ill narcoleptic brain surgeon, Ben Carson.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thanks for reminding us of his run too.
Ben Carson.
So, but I wish that they had studied and played, more to trying to manipulate Donald Trump the way he was able to manipulate all of the professional politicians and taken a page, not from their book, but to know how to run against him successfully. And I don't think that she had the right guidance in a lot of directions, including members of her staff. And for real, Don, for a long time, I didn't think that she really wanted to be there. I really thought she was reluctant.
You know what? And watching the documentary, I can't say that that's what my takeaway was. I think they may have gotten too comfortable with the idea that she was going to be there. And so that energy that you felt, I don't want to be here, was, can we get the formalities over so I can
out of the way?
I think that was a little of what happened there. And when you look at how there were certain states that they didn't go to, certain places that they didn't go and campaign at, I think they got a little too comfortable. And listen, no disrespect to the women on her team who were trying to usher this moment in. But a lot of those women were women that had worked on multiple campaigns where they had not seen victories. And they also were so married to the traditional system of working a campaign that they were just in over their heads. Like Hillary Clinton needed to call like a Hollywood producer to help her navigate what's happening, because clearly the reality star was making TV moments the whole time they were, facing off.
If she had called in Mark Burnett, that would have been everything.
Mark Burnett was occupied. Hello. Can we get Will Packer on the line?
Yeah.
Jesse Collins on the line. Just
come on. Speaking of Jesse Collins, did you see that story?
Yeah, he's going to
He's
produce.
going to be producing. Is he the executive producer for the Super Bowl halftime show?
And listen, a great opportunity for him. He'll be producing a Super Bowl halftime show that likely won't have a team that either has Colin Kaepernick or Eric Reed on it.
There
So
you go. And so I won't be there, but congratulations to him
yeah,
nonetheless. And who knows how many people will be in that audience?
maybe an audience of one.
Yeah. And he'll have time because he'll be out of office by
Listen,
then.
so well, I'm an NBA guy. You know, I used to,
Yeah.
I did a special series for the NFL. I used to love my Washington team, and
Hmm.
while I was not like a diehard paint my face and buy season ticket football fan, I enjoyed the sport up until the whole scenario with Colin Kaepernick.
Me
And
too.
so I just can't really process the NFL the same, but I love the NBA because they
Yeah.
give those guys a freedom to be woke in a way that I would have never imagined. So shout out to the NBA, and I can't wait to hear who's producing your All-Star Weekend halftime performance.
Okay. Wouldn't you love to do that? They always do such a great job, like when they were in Chicago and I'm like you, John. I have moved away from the NFL, and our friend George Wallace texted me on Sunday and said, "How about that game? Your team did really well." And I know that the Bears played Atlanta. I just did not watch it, as I have not since Colin Kaepernick got bounced. But um, uh, good for them. But I like you, am looking at the NBA and really excited about this finals too.
Yeah,
Uh,
listen, the NBA has the magic touch. They created that bubble. There's
mm-hmm.
not been a single COVID case. They've been able to even move family members in there and do well. And outside of the occasional guy sneak into Atlanta to go to the strip club,
And trying to bring a girl in, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
they've
Yeah,
not really had any challenges there. So kudos to them for being able to move with a level of leadership that we
yeah.
don't even have in the White House right now.
Hello, hello. John, we were talking about tonight, and people want to remind people that we're going to have a roundtable discussion, and a lot of my favorite folks are have agreed to come on and to join us tonight. You being number one, and Guy Torrey is going to be with us, and George Wallace, Myra J, Chris Paul, and Stephen Hill. And we're just gonna we'll come together after watching the debate, and I will just try to keep those, if you'll pardon the expression, those balls up in the air, and as we talk about what we saw tonight in our thoughts and observations. America got it wrong, not Hillary. Yeah. Miss Ohina says that America got it wrong, not Hillary, and you're right.
Well, and let me tell you, there's also I really urge everybody, and you can find it on YouTube. It's called News Channel 4. It's a British
Oh
web.
my gosh, John, yes, that's what I wanted us to talk about
Oh,
because I'm
well, I
going to
don't
do
have to
that
jump
story
ahead.
for the newsletter.
Yeah, but
Yes.
it really is a perfect tie-in for this. So listen, I love everything British culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you remember during the Tom Joyner years, one time I did the show from over there twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, "Don't get arrested like Henry Louis Gates." Guys. But so listen, the British just got this one right. They sent over one of their reporters to do this package piece on how the Trump administration particularly targeted Black people with misinformation to make us not vote.
Yeah.
And it looks as though they were able to gauge people's personality traits and what was important to you and all types of other attributes through Facebook. And Facebook wouldn't disclose any of the information that they were providing to the campaign, but we know a lot of that came through companies like Cambridge
And
Analytica.
and John, and like I said, I'm working on this for the newsletter, but they had a person embedded in Facebook who was a part of the Trump campaign.
Absolutely. And so they literally were, this reporter is showing up to people's houses in
Yeah.
Black neighborhoods, a Black district in Missouri, and they're saying they describe you as apathetic. Would you say that's true? Or they know that you've made this amount of money, and they're like, oh my God, how do they know that? They knew so much, so they were able to target Facebook ads and particular ads and anti-voting information and stuff like that directly to people based on your profiles and things on Facebook. And that's what made so many people stay home. And so, one of the
what did they call them? They one of the designations was deterrence.
Yeah, deterrence, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they call it's a 22-minute mini movie. It's called Deterring Democracy,
yeah.
and how they try to deter you with misinformation. And here's the thing. So, but one of my greatest frustrations, and it's part of the reason why, I transitioned out of being a writer into focusing on TV and stuff, just because TV was my first love. But it
Mm-hmm.
was also frustrating working in a medium that people just weren't consuming the same.
Right.
It sounds stereotypical, and people don't like when you use broad strokes. But the truth of the matter is, if you want to hide information from a certain segment of Black people, then make them have to read it. And reading and researching and being informed is just not something that is our strong suit. We don't like to use our Google apparatus on our phone. We will not take and just drop some keywords in there to see if there's a deeper dive. Think about all the people last week who were regurgitating that meme that said that Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron was married to either the niece or the grandma, depending on which one you
The
got.
granddaughter of Mitch
All you had to
McConnell.
do was a simple Google search to see that there was so many articles and real news outlets out there telling you that that wasn't true. And so
Mm-hmm.
that type of method in our passing information through the barbershop and the beauty salon before the pandemic, or
Yep.
texting and retweeting and reposting, that's how misinformation is spread. And that is what was used to make hundreds of millions of people stay home in the last election.
Yeah.
And all that's great stuff that the Obamas were able to do, even with a Democratic Congress and a Senate in place that were trying to block him at every turn, even everything that he was able to put in place, so much of that has been undone just because we did not show up, just because we were willing to believe bad information and not do our own due diligence to check it out for ourselves.
Absolutely. And that's really what we try to do with What You Need to Know, and with these stories, and then condense them to a point so that we do the legwork and the reading work for folks, and give them the condensed version of it. It's vitally important. But as you said, you want to hide something, put it in a book.
It's sad.
Remember the old Kevin Hart joke, or it wasn't really a joke, but he said that his mom, when he moved out to California, or moved out on his own to become a comedian, and his mother gave him a Bible and said, everything you need is right in here. And he got to a point in his life where he was running out of money, and all of these other things. And finally he got to the lowest point of his life, and he opened the Bible, and there was like $1,000 in there from his mother, and knowing that at that particular moment he would go to his Bible, or maybe even hoping that he would go to his Bible, and then would be able to see, that your help is not only in the Bible, but we're giving you spiritual as well as financial help.
I know he's glad he didn't become a Muslim and throw that stuff on the trash.
You're so silly.
Could you imagine if he'd have found a letter a few years later? Son, I hope you found that $1,000.
Right. From his mother after,
the trash.
So you're absolutely right. You are right. So tonight we're looking at the debate, and we will there, and as Yolanda has pointed out, it's we'll come together at 9:30 at the conclusion of the debate. That's 9:30 Central, 10:30 with you, John, on the East Coast, and then we'll talk about the way things have turned out. 7:30 on the West Coast, by the way. Some of the things from people want to know about his finances, and also, did you read this New York Times report about his money dealings and misdealings?
I've not read all of the New York Times report, but I've read a good portion of it. I mean, Sybil, it's a lot to unpack in that.
It really is.
I mean, from the pieces where at one point, so basically, most of the Trump properties are just licensing deals. And so as a part of the licensing deal, you have to do these full disclosures where you disclose everybody who you're bringing on board to work on these licensing deals. And at one point, he was paying Ivanka, the favorite child, and the potential wife, if he could,
and running mate, don't forget that.
And running mate, yeah, let's not forget that. He was paying her something like $700,000 to come in to either do the spa or decorate a room like he typically would. But he passed it off as a miscellaneous consulting firm, and then they were able to see that her bank records show that she went and deposited that exact amount. I mean, the level of detail that they were able to obtain in this information. And I love this tweet that April Ryan had last night. She said, listen, I called him the spreader in chief. I've called him the racist in chief. I called him the liar in chief. And he was unbothered by all of that. But the fact that we know that he is Mr. Broken Chief, this man's money is funny, that he's like some of us out here robbing people to pay Paul, or in his case, one loan away from being bankrupt. This is a bad situation for him.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the fact that he has over $400 million in loans coming due, and he is personally guaranteeing those loans, $420 million. And he has paid, as Nancy Pelosi said, he has paid back to foreign countries more than he has paid his own government in recent years, with that $750, like $150,000 to India and things like that, as well as these other loans. We don't know who they are going to and what level of national security he has broken through, and in terms of his relationships with these foreign banks and how this will affect his administration. And so that I hope that I'm pretty sure Chris Wallace is going to touch on this tonight. But one of the things that I love is that the Bidens put out their tax returns for 2019 and showing that they paid $300,000 this year. For 2019.
That has everybody's tax returns. They have Elizabeth Warren's, the Obamas. I know Wesley Snipes is at home talking about who is Trump's tax guy.
Right.
If I could have just found the guy who he had to manipulate these things.
My godbrother and godsister sent me a text, with Wesley Snipes. It's like WTF, it's like really $750, really. So
Ron Isley, he's like, this could have kept me out of prison.
Okay,
I could have kept crooning these love songs with Trump.
And the other thing is that it's going to be interesting to see. I think once we get through tonight's debate, I'm not sure how excited people will be for debate number 2, except that is going to be a town hall, and so that will mean that a lot more people will be involved, I'm thinking.
And Trump does not do well in town halls. That ABC town hall was
remember that
for him. They were able to take him to task on some things. He couldn't follow up.
The sister professors, excuse me, sir, let me finish. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, town halls are not the forum for him because he's typically most comfortable playing to the basement of his base, and having to talk to real people about real issues and real substance, which is really what he lacks. It's just not good for him, and it really is like his world is imploding. I mean, I told somebody, I said, who knew that the September surprises would be coming in late? The October surprises would be coming in late September, because from the campaign chairperson trying to kill himself, the financial disclosure. I mean, it's like the floor is falling from underneath this man.
Yeah, and he's trying to juggle and say, well, look over there, and look up. But that's they're coming home to roost right now. And so with this small audience, I loved what Jackie Reed sent out this morning, and I heard someone else mention it. Who would you like to see in the front row of that debate tonight? Socially distanced, of course, but she had both President and Mrs. Obama, Hillary and Bill Clinton, as well as George and Laura Bush, all sitting there with their arms folded, staring, a lot like what they tried to do. Remember what the Trump people tried to do in the debate with Hillary, where he had all of Bill's exes sitting in the audience. And
and I would need about maybe 4 rows, because I would want maybe all 22 of the women who has filed sexual assault charges against him, including the one who accused him of rape. That
she's a journalist. Is it? It's not Dion. EJ. I can't remember. Shoot, that's awful. I can't remember her name.
That's right. She's not a public figure, so it's not a name that easily comes to memory. But one of those diligent staffers that created the decoration here behind the scenes, so that We can
He's
say
talking to you.
this woman's name.
So,
But yeah,
so
I would have had all of those women in the audience because they would have made him. Or no, even better, I would have had everyone who left the administration and wrote one of those New York Times best-selling books,
mhm.
and I would have them sitting there with their books in their lap, which means that Omarosa would have had a front row seat
Okay,
because
okay.
it would make him so uncomfortable that all these people that left him, who started to lift the veil and tell the truth about the various lies and shenanigans going on in his administration. And you know what, Simple, one more thing. People don't give her credit for it. But I've said this privately, and I'm going to say it publicly. A lot of what we're seeing and hearing, a lot of these disclosures that are in everyone else's book that's coming out, a lot of these
Mhm.
revelations, they were all in Omarosa's book, Unhinged. And
Mhm.
people, I remember CNN, they could never mention her or the book without saying, she has credibility issues. She has credibility issues.
Right.
But there is so much parallel between the things in her book and the things in Michael Cohen's book and the things in so many of these other people's books that we have to acknowledge the fact that
Yeah.
whether you like the fact that she went in and works with him, whether you think she's a good person or not, the woman lifted the veil and gave us a precursor to a lot of the things that we're seeing now. And more people probably should have paid attention to the book that she put out because she gave us a warning of what was
And
coming.
she did. She really did. And but folks weren't, and I'm not trying to hear it because of our feelings about but I will admit and say that you're absolutely right. That and she could be sitting there with her book. Now Michael Cohen cannot be sitting there with his because he's under house arrest. But we'll do like they do at the baseball games. We'll just have a stand up of Michael Cohen with his book
That'll work.
and all of these other people that have written their
And his
books.
niece, Mary. I love Mary Trump.
Oh my gosh, how great is she?
She's great. I think MSNBC is going to mess around and give her a contributor's contract.
I think they are too. I really think, and especially if he makes it to
No,
a.
that's not going to happen. But
Okay,
it would.
thank you.
But here's the thing: he's going to get arrested after he leaves. Even when he loses the election, if he decides to pull a stunt like resign and have the crooked Christian Mike Pence become the president in an effort to pardon him, New York can still get him on state charges.
Oh man, and
That's
they're
why he
working
wants
on
to move
that
to
nightmare.
Florida. So listen, he gonna get it one way or the other. And what we're learning from these financial disclosures, when it's all said and done, he might be in prison. Jared, Ivanka,
Yeah.
the other two Adams family sons, all of them might be.
Tweedledee.
Lock
Yeah.
her up. We'll be saying lock them up. The whole family might be gone away.
Yeah, I mean, they were so famous for saying that about Secretary Clinton. Okay, so I knew it was E something. E. Jean Carroll was the
E. Jean
columnist
Carroll.
that she has charged him with rape. And this is the same case, you guys, that the Attorney General wants to use Department of Justice employees in the defamation lawsuit. That she has going. It's ridiculous. Okay, so we have E. Jean Carroll is the woman who has alleged rape by Donald Trump back in the day, and I want to say it was like at Bloomingdale's or something in a dressing room.
Some high-end department store dressing room.
Yeah. And also, Cassie Adams on Facebook says that she would love to, and I love this. She would love to see the Central Park Five seated in the front row.
The sad part is he wouldn't know who they were. He'd be like,
it's like who are those black, those African Americans?
Are they gonna pull the car around after this is over? Like, this is the same man who, in his eulogy tweet about Aretha Franklin, was like, "Yeah, she worked for me a few times. Like she was the help or something." So
yeah, come on.
Wouldn't know who those guys are.
No. And you're going to be hearing great things from dead black people. So, John, moving to the case in Louisville, the Breonna Taylor. Now the family, and as you saw yesterday, the news is out that one of the grand jurors, one of the members of the grand jury that heard this case that was presented by Daniel Cameron, who is not married to Mitch McConnell's daughter or granddaughter or niece. The Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, announced that no officers would be charged, of course, in this, and it was just wanton endangerment of the neighbors, having nothing to do with the murder of Breonna. So now they are calling for the release of body camera footage, police files and transcripts of the grand jury proceedings that led to their decision that held no one accountable. And of course, Frank Hanson has been indicted, but he was he had like $5 bond, and he was out in a matter of moments. The attorneys for Breonna's family alleged the prosecutors presented little evidence that pertained to her death, and of course, Cameron claiming that statements from the officers were corroborated by independent witness who was near in proximity to her apartment. 11 other people said they did not hear anything coming from the officers.
And remember, initially 12, and then one changed their story.
Right. Yeah. The one did. Yeah, exactly. And so that was all about, so his credibility is a little sketchy, this one person, obviously. So I think we're going to hear this pretty soon. And here, I'm not sure about the transcripts, will probably follow in quick succession, but I'm hoping that it will make a difference. Our friend Stephen Hill has sadly been saying all along that they were not going to be charged with anything. And he said that, what it would lead to would be a jury that would let the policemen off if they were charged with something, which would lead to even more violence in that city, which we have seen happen over the last few days since the grand jury came back. And her family has been asking, please, 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 this is not about the violence, this is about getting justice. And we aren't going to get justice that way. So I want to end because we got to get you before and so you can get your popcorn and everything for the big debate in another hour. This story, we do enough doom and gloom. And this morning, I'm on with Erica Kimball and Griff every Tuesday morning. And so, and I'm on with Willie Moore and Crystal Lee on Mondays and Wednesdays. And so once we get through the first couple of stories and they're like, oh God, because it is a lot of sadness, right? But we try to put some really wonderful, uplifting stories in the What You Need to Know newsletter. And so here is the story of Tommy Mabry. And made empowering others his mission. He's a business owner and motivational speaker and teaches professional development to young men in Mississippi and around the country. He pushes people to be their best in the pages of his books. And even as impressive as his accomplishments are, his journey to becoming a role model is even more inspiring. His first brush with the law occurred when he was in the 5th grade, right? He was kicked out of 10 schools before reaching high school, arrested for breaking and entering. Now, Tommy Mabry is Dr. Tommy Mabry. He discovered his love of basketball. He became the first in his family to graduate from high school as a part of his sports, and then graduating and going on to college at Missouri State. And he said he still didn't know how to write until college. They didn't teach that. He had a professor who said he couldn't get a degree. So all of this, he said his greatest fear was being called on in class. And eventually, he graduated from Tougaloo College. That's where my grandparents met in Mississippi.
Wow.
And earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in education. And from there, he went on to get a doctorate in urban higher education from Jackson State. So, Dr. Tommy Mabry, thank you for making our day at the What You Need to Know newsletter and by sharing your story. He is now the founder of the Tommy Mabry Company. It's a professional development organization and the author of several books, including A Journey to a Light Future. And if Tommy can do it, we can do it. Well, Tommy, you did it.
Yeah, and we need stories like that because what it does, it tells you to stay the course, no matter what your path is, no matter what your industry is, don't let yourself get deterred based on, your foundation. A lot of us come from bad neighborhoods, bad family environments. There are obstacles and challenges that many people overcome to do what they do and to achieve what they achieve. And what he's shown is all the odds were stacked up against him, and he still stayed the course. And shout out to Tougaloo College. A friend of mine, the late gospel singer Lucretia Campbell, was a proud alumni of that school. That was the first person I ever heard talk about Tougaloo College. I always just like the name Tougaloo. Like that's just the cool. I'm a country boy. I'm from a little small town in Virginia called Warrington, Virginia. And so that just sounded like the name of one of my aunts or something.
Right.
You know?
And when my mom told me the story about my grandparents meeting there, and I was like, what the heck's a Tougaloo? And, well, that's where, my grandfather was already engaged to a woman and went down there to teach and met this young woman. And the rest, as they say, was family history and my mother and then me. So here we go, John. I thank you so much. And I thank you in advance for coming on. I think we're going to have a great time tonight
Yeah,
as
we'll be
we come
back
back and
in a little bit.
yeah, and I will see you in just a little bit, as you say. And John, I think you're really, I don't know if you saw her yesterday, but CK Hoffler is the president of the National Bar Association, and she's scheduled to join us as well. She's a firecracker. She is really, that's the Black Lawyers and Judges Association. And so I'm looking forward to that. That's the other NBA, John.
That's good.
All right, sweetie, I will see you soon. Thank you so much for coming on tonight and for later on as well. I appreciate you. Everybody, please join us. We're going to be here at 9:30 Central, 10:30 on the East Coast, and of course at 7:30 West Coast. Join us as we have our roundtable with a great group of people. That, of course, is George Wallace and John Murray and Myra J., Stephen Hill, Guy Torrey, Chris Paul, and I think Dominique is going to join us as well. So, and that's going to really crowd up our table. So with all of us sitting there. So please join us and we will see you. And please subscribe to the What You Need to Know newsletter. And we will keep you up to date on everything, especially as we get closer to these, to now the, the November 3rd election day, which is now just weeks away from today.
Yeah.
So, all right, you guys, have fun, get your popcorn, and we will see you back here in just a couple of hours. Thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow and later on tonight, and of course tomorrow with Myra and Steve. Take